Can you remember a time you were in a classroom and you heard a student begin to answer a question as if they were unsure? Hello, my name is Alyssa Smith. I am a student at the University of North Carolina at Wilmington. I am a sophomore and planning to graduate in May of 2019. My podcast is titled Battle of the Sexes. Who is more confident in the classroom? Despite the difficulty of gathering data, the question I am trying to answer is this. Is there a difference between the way women answer questions and the way men answer questions in a classroom setting? So my hypothesis is, if a certain sex is more confident answering questions than the other, then we can learn to be more sensitive to those feelings of insecurity and support one another in order to promote equality in the classroom. As far as lit review and definitions, there's no difficult lingo to this research study. However, I've been able to find interesting scholarly articles pertaining to my study. An article from BBC News reads, "In class, more boys than girls feel confident revealing their viewpoints." The authors of the article discovered this based off of a recent survey they conducted. They wrote that more boys than girls said they felt confident explaining their point of view, 78% to 74% respectively. In Deborah Tannen's article, He Said, She Said, Tannen proposes that women and men have different ways of communicating. In her study, she found that males tended to focus on hierarchy, whereas females tended to focus on making connections. This relates to my research question, because Tannen's article touches on men being powerful and up one, while women are connecting with others and being sensitive. My theory is that men tend to be certain and almighty when answering questions. However, women are less confident when they say things like, "I don't know if this is right, but..." And women are, in a way, letting others know that they are unsure when they answer questions in this manner. By letting others know that they are unsure, it establishes a connection and comfort with those who feel the same exact way. It all goes back to being higher up one and making connections, just as Tannen suggested. As far as methods, all of my classes are English. Then I have a gym class, but nobody asks questions in there, really. Therefore, we have interesting discussions every day in my English classes. I saw these classes as the perfect settings to gather my data for this project. To find out if there is a difference between the way women answer questions and the way men answer questions in a classroom setting, I utilized my phone during my classes to record my classmates. I marked whether a female or a male was answering the question at hand. I would simply observe the manner in which they answered, and then I would record those answers. To start out, I will introduce a few recordings of students, both male and female, answering questions. These first recordings will reveal a male and a female answering a question confidently.
Welfare, to help them, to give them job opportunities. What kinds of jobs?
Well, for Delane, it's a job as an operator in Chicago.
Good, good. A lot of job mobility opportunity there.
I think that,
How are we going to overthrow the patriarchy, if that's what we want to do?
Compassion and persistence.
Compassion, patient persistence. What kind of how would you characterize those tools? Flexibility and fluidity. Do those sound like activism to you? Like we usually stereotypically think of activism?
It sounds like reactive. It's very reactive to what's going on.
Okay.
I need to be compassionate about wrongs. We need to be persistent.
Okay. What might her thinking be, or why does she advocate according to this compassion?
Those recordings sound pretty confident, right? But let's hear some people answer questions in an unsure manner.
Doesn't she do it because she wants to pass?
This answer reminds me of a girl who I went to school with. One day the teacher called on her to answer a question, and she kind of started out by saying, "So, I don't know if this is right, but I'm thinking," and then she continued to answer the question. By saying this, the student is sort of looking for confirmation, just like this next recording.
Holding in our hand. Whose story is this?
Collectively, it's all of their stories.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, right?
This student sounds like she's unsure. Her answer sounds like a question. Collectively, it's all of their stories? The following is another recording of a female answering a question who is not really sure.
Yes, maybe like the fact that she goes to like a whole new, I don't want to say realm, but like space. It's all completely new to her. Her roommates are completely different than anyone she's really ever met. The people she works with are different. It's just a different like type of community that she's used to, or lack thereof of community. And even the little friend group that what are their names?
Bug and Kathy.
Yeah.
The roommates.
Even the friend group they have, like she's outside of that, and like she doesn't have those familial connections that she's used to.
Good, good. It is all foreign for her, right?
It is apparent that there is a pattern. It seems as though men really are answering questions more confidently than women in the classroom. Let's hear a closer comparison.
Just going back to the rhetorical devices in the beginning, by proceeding from the home to the outside world, she encourages the reader to do the same from their viewpoint.
Look at that.
So it says, she's basically essentially saying the safety of your home, and then here's the outside world. And
You can hear the male domination in this student's answer. Then you have a female who answers like this.
What kinds of activities does she do with, say, Duffy?
Union member.
Okay, good.
This student answers quietly, as if she is unsure. However, the male student will spit it out and have no doubts.
something. And it talks about when you're talking with another person, there's a number of things that influence what you believe and what they believe, and you kind of need to be respectful of that.
Okay, yeah.
The research that I have conducted matters because I truly believe that it will help us become better communicators as well as better educators. Too often, I have experienced a couple of friends carry on a conversation in a group of people and discuss an inside joke that no one knows about except for the two friends. And while they're only trying to establish how close they are to one another, it can make the rest of the group feel left out and just dumbfounded. I said all that to say this. When someone is called on in class and they may not know how to answer a question efficiently, they may feel the same way, left out, dumbfounded, ostracized. We can engage in conversation that everyone will be able to participate in rather than make others feel ostracized by discussing something they've never heard of. Also, by being sensitive to those who are not as confident when it comes to answering questions in class, we can provide linguistic support for one another. For example, if I know that my friend Melanie is not confident when it comes to answering questions, then I might help her by chiming in if I begin to notice she can't find the right words to effectively answer a question, or she just goes blank. By doing this, we can help one another become more confident in answering questions or communicating in general. We are the key that unlocks the door to each other's personal growth. And you can quote me on that. This reminds me of an episode of Grey's Anatomy. They're in the teaching lab, and in the lab, the lab instructor asks a question. And one of the girls in the classroom, she never raises her hand because she's shy. The teacher calls on her, though, to teach her to speak up and put herself out there because the guys are overpowering her in the classroom. In the end, the girl is shouting out the answers, and she really grows because her lab instructor pushes her to do that. And so by helping each other out in that way, we can help build each other up and become better communicators. As far as future implications, as I previously stated, I had some difficulty in gathering my data. I have the same professor for 2 of my classes, and that professor has no recording policy, unfortunately. Therefore, I was unable to gather data and have it all by the day it was due. So this set me back a bit, but it is true that roadblocks tend to pop up while conducting independent research, and that's okay. But for future research done not only on this topic but any topic, I would suggest allowing oneself plenty of time to gather the data, whether that be in classrooms, restaurants, or whatever setting is required. The more data, the better the results will be, and the more factual your research study will be as well. If I were to extend my study, I would actually interview students to see how they view themselves when it comes to answering questions. I would ask them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you when it comes to answering questions in the classroom, just to see how they view themselves. I would write down their sex and record their answers, and then compare that to how they actually answer questions. I just think it would be interesting to see how we view ourselves as opposed to how we actually are. I think that if I could have done those interviews, there would be even more interesting discussions to stem from the data. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed learning about my research study, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.